Hi everybody, Carissa here with Inky Fairy Designs for the Blitzy Creative Team. And pocket letters are all the rage right now, so I wanted to create a mixed media pocket letter to send out to some of my creative friends, and I wanted to share that process with you today. So I'm using some mixed media cardstock by Ranger Ink, and it comes with 10 sheets, 8.5 by 11. So this was actually perfect to use with the inserts or the pockets that I was going to be using. And I'm also using some Ranger Dylusion sprays and paints. So this is the actual sleeve or inserts that you're going to create and make the pockets out of. So I took that cardstock and I cut it down. The pockets are 3.5 by 2.25, I believe, and so that's what I cut each section to. And then I just lined them up and I taped them back together. So I cut them apart first, and then I taped them together to create the image on, or the art on. And I thought either way, I could either leave it whole and then cut it afterwards, or I could do it this way and it would already be cut and I would just have to remove the tape and pull it apart. And I thought this way might be better just because I would know exactly the size, because it gets to be a little bit smaller than the 8.5 by 11 that the full sheet is. And then depending on the amount of media I put on top, or perhaps if I get if I wanted to use texture paste or something like that, and it's kind of like a thicker medium that might not go through my cutter that easily, I just thought this would be the easiest way because I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to use and how much texture I would use. So that's the way I went. I think either way you could do this though. So you can see I added a thin layer of Liquitex gesso on the entire cardstock, and that is just to prime my surface. I always use gesso whenever I'm working in an art journal or any canvas or anything like that, because I know what I'm working on, and so that's why I went ahead and used gesso on this mixed media cardstock just to give me some like starting spot. So I added some of the Dylusions paints in the bubblegum pink, and then I used a stencil over it and wiped it up with a wet baby wipe, or just a baby wipe that's wet, and that gave me that kind of ghosting look. And I'm doing the same thing with some of the Dylusions paints or sprays. And so I sprayed it, and then I took some of like a dry paper towel and took some of that off, and so that kind of creates this little ghosting effect that I got with using that texture or that stencil. And so it gives me a couple different textures when I am applying it using those different techniques. So now I'm taking some of the white linen Dylusions paints and just an old gift card and adding some lines to the top and the bottom. I wanted to create some more white space, and so I thought that would help. And then it wasn't exactly giving me enough white space, so I took some golden titanium white and Titan buff and kind of mixed those on my craft mat and applied it to the upper corner and bottom corner with my fingers just to give me some more white space. I was trying to work with this idea of white space, you know, like a lot of times when I'm journaling or art journaling or doing mixed media, I just go I don't know when to stop, and I add so much media and I end up covering the entire surface with color, which isn't a bad thing, but I was trying to challenge myself to work with that white space. So you can see that I got a little carried away, so I wanted to bring some of that white back, and that's what I did with the paints. And then I'm adding some squeezed lemon, I believe is, or lemon zest sprays, and I just wanted to add some more drips, and so I added that because pink and yellow make orange, so I had used orange earlier, so it just kind of worked together. So now I'm going to add some stamps to my pocket letter, and I'm using these Dina Wakley Mixed Media stamps by Ranger, and I'm using using some ink by Ranger as well. It's the archival ink, and so I'm using, it's kind of like a light gray, and then a water ink can, I believe is the name of that, and then I'm using the black. And I realized my stamp had like a bubble on it, and so that isn't part of the stamp. So you see that kind of shadow area on her shoulder. That's not part of the stamp. It was just like this bubble that I had, and so I tried to wipe it off when I realized it, but it was still there on some of it, and that was fine with me. So I stamped those kind of 3 going up the page, and then I felt it needed another color, and so I pulled out my Imagine Crafts Pico Embellisher in Electric Blue, and that just added the perfect pop of color, kind of like a contrasting color to this page, and I just made some scribble circles going down that left hand side. So that pretty much wraps up the mixed media part of creating the pocket letter. So now I'm going to take apart, very carefully remove that washi tape that I had on the back, and you can see it kind of got inky and painted on the back, but that's no big deal to me. You could add, if you don't like that, you could add some pattern paper to the other side so that it looks nice and pretty. But so I just added them all to the pockets, and you can see I'm kind of thinking, what should I add? What do I want to put inside each of those pockets? So I pulled out some embellishments that I have in my stash, and I'm just filling them up with some fun goodies for my friend. And it's just really fun. Like, it's fun to create the page, create all of that messy mixed media art, and then cut it apart and put it in there. And so it's like kind of putting a piece of my journal in this pocket letter for my friend. So I really hope it's just a different take on the whole pocket letter idea, because you can add bits of yourself and your expression, not only with your embellishments that you kind of use and sending those out, but also by creating the background instead of just using pattern paper. So I'm just filling in all of the pockets with some stamps and some embellishments and some sequins, and then I'm going to get a card, and I'm going to put that in the middle pocket, because you always want to include like a letter. And so that's just a little card. This is just a note on there, and I have those that I can tuck easily in the middle pocket for sending them out, and just a few more embellishments, and that really takes care of this entire pocket letter. So I like to send washi tape. I will find some clear acetate and just kind of wrap it around, and yeah, so it's fun to create the page. It's fun to fill it with all of your favorite embellishments. It's a great way to send bits of your art out, and they're kind of like mini ATC cards, I guess. I've never really done that, but you can just fold it up like this and send it out. And since those packagings wouldn't fit in the pockets, I'm just putting them inside in the middle so that my friend will know that the stamps came from Prima and that those flowers are from K & Company. So very easy to do and fun, so fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video on how to create a mixed media pocket letter to send out using so many fun elements and paints and sprays. So thanks for watching. Bye.